Okay, so wow. It's been over 5 years since I last reviewed anything Marvel related. The reason for that is simple. I just got really tired of the Marvel movies. The only two genuinely good movies they've put out would be the original Iron Man and Winter Soldier. And Daredevil Season 1 was really good too. The only Marvel characters I've ever liked growing up were Spider-Man and Daredevil, so why would I go see a movie like Ant-Man or Doctor Strange when I don't care about the character at all? That obviously changed when they announced they had the rights to use Spider-Man. And while I do have many other issues with the Marvel films, Spider-Man Homecoming was probably not only the best Spider-Man film since Spider-Man 2, but just overall the best Marvel movie since then as well. Which is why I am very excited to have this figure in front of me right now. This is the SH Figuarts Spider-Man Homecoming figure. One of the issues I expected to have with this figure was put to rest as soon as I opened him up. In videos and pictures I've seen of this guy, he looked like he was purple or like magenta, but in person he is most certainly the correct shade of red. The entire figure is textured like a basketball, but thankfully it's not as awful looking as the costume from The Amazing Spider-Man. Due to the size of Spidey, the detailing is just kind of good instead of perfect, which leads to the design looking a bit too busy and makes the look of the figure feel a little off. Adding to the strange appearance of this figure is this floating waist piece. It floats on the figure to help with the articulation, which is a fair trade-off in this instance. I have to say, I'm a big fan of the booty they gave to Spidey. The figure's arms and hands look really tiny, especially when compared to his rather large head. Articulation-wise, this guy is a dream. Other than his arms not being able to go up all the way, the articulation is perfect and doesn't hinder any poses. His legs move up really far. His knees bend all the way back. His arms are on butterfly joints, which allow for better forward movement. Instead of including 3 different heads, Bandai went with interchangeable eyes. This first pair are almost identical to the default eyes, but slightly smaller. I would have liked some more expressive shocked eyes rather than these. These squinty eyes, however, look great and can be conveying any number of expressions. You can, of course, mix and match the eyes to get an even wider variety of expressions. By popping the spider off his back, you can insert this backpack into a hole. This can be used to pull off some fun poses, like he's late for school or something like that. The backpack itself is very well detailed considering that it's just a backpack. Next up, we have a very simple looking cell phone along with hands to hold it. I have Spidey taking a selfie here because I hate myself. The strangest hands he comes with are these Shaka Hands. As far as I remember, he doesn't make the Shaka gesture even once in the movie, so their inclusion here is very odd. Maybe this is what Japanese people think we Americans do all the time? Next up is this pair of open palm hands. Not much to say about these, so let's move on to some more exciting hands. Here we have his signature hand gesture with some web shooting out of it. We also have a gripping hand for him to hold on to this longer web. Here's where all the problems with the look of the figure go away completely. The amount of poses you can get Spidey in is incredible. I really wish his legs could get a little bit closer to each other, but this still looks very good. Spidey comes with 2 different web shots, one small and one longer. This figure has been an absolute blast to play around with and get in different poses, and that's the real strength of this figure. When making a Spider-Man figure, you have to either compromise the look or the articulation, and this one does the best job of making both work. The Revoltex Spidey looks like a mess when it's not posed, but has great articulation, and most Marvel Legends look good, but don't have the best articulation. The SH Figuarts version is probably the best of both worlds, and I cannot recommend him enough. The only 2 downsides is that he does not come with a stand. The one I'm using now is borrowed from a different figure, and he also does not have a unmasked Tom Holland head, but the upcoming Mafex figure does, so that's maybe worth a look. As he is supposed to be a 15-year-old kid, he is smaller than the other adults, like the SH Figuarts Jack Sparrow, but is actually taller than the Figuarts Padme, and surprisingly, he fits in scale with the Mafex Batman. Anyway, if you are a Spider-Man fan, or even if you just like superheroes, I cannot recommend him enough.